Hi everybody, welcome to Meconomist, and welcome to my series of videos of me moving with my Porsche Cayman. Something happened between the last video that I uploaded and this video now that I have to tell you guys. If you missed the last video, I was basically just announcing that I am moving from here in Houston, Texas, all the way to Ann Arbor, Michigan. It's about 1,200 miles or so. Ann Arbor, Michigan is my favorite city in the whole world. Well, favorite city in America at least. London is probably my favorite city in the world. Anyways, I'm very excited, but first I'm gonna get inside the car because it's extremely hot outside. Okay, apologies for the kind of lo-fi audio. I'm just gonna be shooting these videos in this moving series just kind of on the fly without too much high production value because there's already enough work to do, quite honestly, when you're moving across the whole country. So, hope you can excuse the slightly low-tech version of my videos for the next week or so. So what happened? Basically, after I uploaded the video announcing my move, my boss called me, and he was like, "Hey, I have great news. You thought that you were gonna have to pay for your entire move yourself, but actually, the company is going to assist you with your move." So I'm actually getting what's called relocation benefits. I've gotten these benefits in the past, and in the past it has meant that they hire a moving company to move all your stuff for you at no cost, and they fund a final one-way plane ticket to your final destination, and they give you a lump sum of cash, not a whole lot of money, but just a small lump sum in order to cover sort of incidental expenses. So I don't know if that's what I'm going to be getting this time. I hope it is because that would be great, but it could be something completely different. Ford is restructuring, so I have yet to see what it is. What I do know though is that in the past they've offered to ship one personal vehicle for me, and I asked them if they could ship my Porsche Cayman, and then they came back to me and said, "Oh wait, sorry, the ground clearance on the Cayman is too low to use the service that we're authorized to use, so we can't ship that vehicle unless you pay an extra $2,000 out of pocket," or something like that. So that's why I'm still going to move my Porsche Cayman myself this weekend, along with a large amount of stuff. So why is my car still so packed up? Well, basically because I don't know exactly when or if I'm even going to get a moving company to move my stuff. I want to make sure that I have enough stuff up in Ann Arbor to live off of for the next few months, just in case there's any kind of issues with moving, or if it takes a little while, or if I'm going to have to move my furniture and larger electronics on my own. So everything that I need to live for the next 2 months is either in this car or in a box at my parents' house in Ann Arbor that I sent up there the last time I flew there. Luckily, the place that I'm moving into for the summer in Ann Arbor is a furnished sublet, so I won't have to worry about having a bed or couch or refrigerator or anything like that. That's going to be taken care of at least for the summer until September. I'm really interested in doing a kind of apartment comparison video between where I'm living here in the Woodlands, which is, as you can see, it's a pretty nice luxury apartment building, and it's not that expensive compared to Ann Arbor. People who aren't from the area are typically shocked at how expensive it is to actually live in Ann Arbor, especially if you're living downtown, which is what I'll be doing. It's significantly more expensive than it is here in Houston, Texas. Then in the fall, I'm going to be moving into another apartment, and it might be interesting to sort of do a three-way comparison between a luxury apartment here in Houston, a luxury apartment downtown Ann Arbor, and then a sort of normal one-bedroom apartment that I'm going to be moving into in September. So anyway, stay tuned for that. I'll have more on that later. The other reason I'm moving my Porsche up north right now is I know I'm going to want a vehicle that I can use on my own without having to borrow a car from someone else in order to get around town and to and from work when I first start my job. Because even if they were to ship my car for me, it would probably take about a month or so, or maybe 3 weeks to get there. So I'm going to want to have my own personal vehicle to use just so that I don't have to keep borrowing cars or Ubering everywhere I go. I want to answer a question that some of you guys had, which is about my Ford Ranger. So yes, sadly, I am going to have to give up the Ford Ranger. The reason that is because it is a company car that they lease for me for my job that I have right now. But the job that I'm going into doesn't require as much travel and therefore doesn't have the perk, I guess, of a company car. That being said, once I'm in Michigan, I will have access to a lot more interesting vehicles and stuff that I can review for the channel. So have no fear, there will still be other cool car reviews and interesting stuff going on, just it's not going to be with the Ranger. So the trip that I'm about to embark on is about 20 hours of total driving, which is a horrible drive because you're basically going straight up left of the Mississippi until you get to Chicago area, and then you just go east until you get to Ann Arbor. There's very, very little terrain change. There's very few big cities in between. It's just a lot of sort of flat, green highway driving. So the thing that I'm worried about most is the monotony, and fingers crossed that there's no tornadoes, because I am kind of driving right through the eastern edge of Tornado Alley. Luckily, the Porsche is pretty comfy for long journeys, up to about 6 to 8 hours. Then it does start to get a little bit cramped and a little bit claustrophobic, especially when it's packed like this is right now. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to do a lot more driving than just 8 hours. So today I'm gonna be driving from Houston to Little Rock, which is about 7 hours. And then the next day, Saturday, I'm gonna be driving from Little Rock to Ann Arbor, which is another about 12 and a half hours. So it's gonna be a long drive tomorrow morning, but at least that's the home stretch, and I'm going home, and I'll be excited about that, so hopefully that'll make things seem a little bit shorter. All the stuff that I have packed in here does slow down the car just a tiny bit because of the weight, but it's really not that bad. It can handle it no problem. So what am I gonna do to entertain myself? Well, I'm gonna be shooting videos, but not while I'm driving, and I'm gonna be listening to some podcasts and music and an audiobook. So in case you're wondering what my top 3 podcasts and top 3 music artists and audiobook are, my top 3 podcasts are Pod Save America, which is a sort of political podcast that I like listening to. Really, really fun, funny guys. I'm going to be listening to Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, which is a Game of Thrones podcast. I've been putting off listening to their long 2-hour episodes because I knew I had this drive coming up, so I have a few things to catch up on. And I'm going to be listening to the MGO Blog podcast, which is the best podcast out there for anybody that cares about Michigan football, Michigan basketball, or any other University of Michigan athletic stuff. The music that I'm going to be listening to, the top 3 artists at least, will be Grandson, great rock and roll music, kind of modern rock. Des Rocks, which is a new band, but they do sort of classic rock, which I really enjoy. And then I've been enjoying a lot of Billie Eilish recently. I think she has really unique sound, and I'll probably be listening to some Old Town Road too, because I just can't get that song out of my head. The audiobook that I'm going to be listening to is called Capital in the 21st Century by Thomas Piketty. He is a French economist that wrote this huge exploration of the history of capital and economics in Europe and the United States and the whole Western world, talking about how economic inequality happens and why it's getting worse. Really, really interesting book. It is kind of academic, so if you're not a hardcore econ nerd like me, maybe it's not for you, but it is really, really insightful and gives you a great perspective on why economic inequality is so dangerous and why it seems to be increasing in the past century or so. Anyways, wish me luck on this long journey. I'll have maybe a couple updates for you here and there. Hopefully things are uneventful between here and Little Rock, and I will see you guys very soon. Thanks. Hey everybody, I've made it to the Hilton Garden Inn here in North Little Rock. I am excited that I made it this far pretty much uneventfully. Don't really have anything to say about the ride other than it was very luckily uneventful, knock on wood. I hope the rest of the drive goes like this. The weather was perfect, traffic wasn't too bad, there were a few accidents here and there, but nothing really terrible. So yeah, I mean, so far the Cayman is holding up great. I have been getting pretty good gas mileage, I guess. It's like the most exciting thing about the drive so far. So I'm gonna go ahead and get to bed and wake up super early. I'm gonna try to get out here by 6 a.m. and get back home to Ann Arbor by tomorrow before this time. So see you guys in the next one.